In terms of future assistance to working class Americans, many of which who have already lost their jobs thanks to the pandemic, the enhanced unemployment benefits are set to expire very soon after you watch this video. In terms of extending them, that might happen, but with new limitations. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said Thursday that the Trump administration is unwilling to extend a boost to unemployment benefits amid the coronavirus pandemic if it allows jobless workers to make more money than they did before losing their jobs. And if you've been paying attention to this whole thing over the last few months, nothing has enraged the right more over the last 5 months than the idea that some people hypothetically made a little bit more money during a pandemic than they did before it. Literally, in terms of how much they talked about how angry they clearly were. I'm sure on some level they don't like, a gigantic pile of corpses. But the fact that someone who got laid off from Radio Shack briefly made more money enraged them. And that is what the Treasury Secretary is focusing on right now.
Yeah. Also, it's going to cost you more to develop a system that identifies each person's take and adjusts for it than it would just to give them, in some cases, a little more money than they were making before.
Exactly.
Also, then they're pretending that they're not trying to just give handouts to other folks. That's the problem. Like, they are giving handouts just to different people.
Exactly.
Corporations.
Yeah, I mean, you shoveling all this money on the corporations, some of them might hypothetically be doing better as a result of that than they would have absent the aid and the pandemic. I've never even heard anyone talk about that as a possibility, honestly. And there was, anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I will say, Steven Mnuchin, we know who he is. So when he says things like, we were in an emergency, we went along with that. We were in an emergency, he said. Not we are. We were. We're going to make sure that people are incented to go back to jobs. Here's a way to incent them. Have them not return to a place where they're worried that they're going to die or kill their family members. Have that be a focus.
Don't you mean incentivized?
Yeah, he definitely means incentivized, but...
Or incensed. When you're incentivized and incensed, you're incented.
I think
when you're incented, that means you smell like a campfire or something.
Anyway, I mean the people, even if you got that enhanced unemployment, this I can only imagine how tough this has been, and even if you had to go through that ridiculous process to get it. So I won't be specific, but someone very close to me had to go through that, and it took weeks and weeks. And thankfully, we are secure enough that was not, you're going to lose your car, you're going to lose your apartment, you're out on the street. But for many people, it probably was.
Right, but also there's different tiers for different kinds of people, too. Like, when you say businesses, you have to draw a line between large businesses and small businesses. Like, the hurdles that small businesses had to go through and still have to go through, they bungled that. They made that just as impossible. So there's small businesses, particularly like restaurants, they are dying. They are dying, and they can't get back on track without some kind of help. Now, a lot of them are loans that may be forgiven or are super low interest, but still, there's so many aspects of the economy that make out its foundation. And if you're a Republican economist, you just think it's major corporations that do that. And in many cases, that's right. But also, people need to go buy things from those corporations. And if they have money to do that, that helps in their ability to buy stuff from you.
Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to have to wait and see. The Dems have not done a nearly good enough job, in my view, of they've passed some potential bills that are hypothetically that aren't going to be taken up by the Senate. I get that. In terms of making it a focus of the media day by day, that it is insane that we went literally months with the Republicans sort of stepping back and just looking at the country and saying, "Do we really need anything more?" As it doesn't affect them in literally any way. That's very frustrating.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.